Podcast. I'm Chuck Tate. That's Andy King.
Hey, how you doing, mate?
I am doing festive.
Oh, festive. What's
Yes.
that? Is that because of you've had a great time over the Christmas and New Year, and you're ready for a great year?
Yeah.
Is that why you're
Right,
feeling
yes.
festive? That's
I'm
good.
ready. I'm ready for some new beginnings. So my manuscript deadline is in just a few days, by the way.
Oh, man.
So
Oh, man.
1 year from now, we'll be talking about a new book.
Does that mean I have to interview you every week? 'Cause you got a
Every
new book?
week for 2024.
Well, talking about 2024, 2023 has just gone.
Yep.
What are some of your highlights of the year? What did you...
You know, I would say one of my biggest highlights of 2023. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Doing a Revival Town podcast with you, man.
Oh, man.
You know?
Oh, that's just, I feel it. I feel the love. Feel the love. Oh,
Yes.
I'm feeling it. I'm just feeling it. Oh, it's coming all over me.
Okay, this just got weird.
You know, we did quite a bit last year. Me and Teresa went away a few times last year. That was pretty cool. You know,
What was your favorite trip?
well, going to Oregon was pretty cool. You know, to go
Goonies house.
the Goonies house, and all that area was just in Astoria. That was really cool. Obviously, visiting the kids in LA, that's always special.
Right.
But then we went to Boston. I really enjoyed being in Boston. I loved the area. It was really cool. It was it was a bit like a smaller version of London because of the tubes and everything else you could jump on, the underground stuff. But so that was a huge highlight. But going away with Teresa was pretty cool. Well, what about you?
You know, I didn't do anything. You know, another year of pastoring. I do love our church community, and I love getting the opportunity to 25 years in, to continue to lead a church. And I joke about the podcast, but I do enjoy doing that. I mean, that's we release a new episode every Monday. We meet once to twice a month, and we make the day of it and grab lunch and hang, and that's cool. A highlight for me was going to Florida with my son, and I actually did a couple trips with him. We went to Texas, and where I met with Esther, and and then went to that conference. But going and hanging with our friend Matt Brown and Stephen McWhorter in Florida was cool.
This week
Some family highlights.
I met this week with a worship pastor in town, and he posted Steve McWhorter doing, I think it was Oh Holy Night in some I don't know where he was.
It's like some kind of cathedral
type.
Yeah. Yep.
And he posted it like, "Hey, we did a couple of this guy's songs at church," and he said, "I didn't know this guy could sing like this." And then I texted him. I'm like, "Dude, we've had him on the podcast twice." He's like, "No way."
Yeah.
And
he was at the church a couple months ago.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool, to connect with him in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And honestly, not many people have a voice like him. I mean, it is like a power voice.
Yeah. Is your phone lighting up there?
You know what? I always put it on Do Not Disturb.
What's the deal?
Well, we're getting ready to go to lunch. We were going to go to lunch, and I'm like, you know what? Let's knock this out.
Yeah.
And so usually I kind of mess things up, and I forgot to put my phone back on Do Not Disturb, and it rings. It vibrates. It goes on my watch. It rings in my ears.
Yeah.
My ringtone is Eye of the Tiger, so I feel like I need to do some push-ups.
Do you want to share your story?
What story?
Wasn't it when you first got your hearing aids where it rang in your ears and you were in some group meeting?
Oh, it wasn't just
Listen
a group
to this,
meeting.
guys.
It was called SOS, Survivors of Suicide. And not to make light of that, and this was a small group that we had at our church that we were helping families of those who have experienced that type of loss navigate troubled times and a time of grieving. and we were all in this circle, and it was a very somber moment. And I have a way of ruining those moments. No. And my phone started ringing, and it's Eye of the Tiger. It's blaring in my ears. And I thought everybody else could hear it. But I was the only one who could hear it.
Yeah.
But I acted as if everybody could hear it. And I jumped up like, oh, I'm so sorry. And everybody just looked at me like I was crazy. And then I explained what happened, and everybody laughed, and it actually turned into this comic relief that was really needed in a heavy gathering.
Yeah.
So it was cool. God used my stupidity to minister to hearts.
It's like every day.
He does it every week.
Well, today we have a treat for you because we have a three-peat.
Yes.
We have got
three-peat.
Three-peat. We have got back on Revival Town the guy who was on the first episode, Pete Hixson. And he is here to really share what God's been doing with him in the last, really since that episode.
Right. And just looking back, we didn't know then that we would still be doing this 3 years and nearly 100,000 downloads later.
Yeah. Yeah.
How wild is that?
Pete was the first person that we had on, and you are just going to love
This is a great conversation. It's emotional, too, towards the end.
So why don't you sit back and relax and enjoy this conversation with Pete Hixson.
This podcast is part of the Edify Podcast Network. Edify is a faith-inspiring app that brings together thousands of the best Christian podcasts in one place for your listening enjoyment. Cut through the noise and grow your faith by diving into the world's top Christian podcasts today. Download the Edify app for free from the App Store or Google Play, or by going to edify.app. That's EDIFI.app.
All right, everyone, it's time for another conversation on Revival Town Podcast. Our guest today is a returning guest. He is a speaker, coach, and special needs advocate. This is his third time. In fact, Pete is our first three-peat.
Three-peat?
Three-peat. No pun intended. So listen, Pete.
Let's go.
We want you to know something. We're never, ever
Never
going to give you up.
Yes, there it is.
There it is. Oh, we just made his day.
You made my day. I mean, I had a good day going, but this day, I can thank my English friend for just feeling it.
I don't think I've ever sent Rick Astley stories from social media to anyone more than Pete Hixson.
Do you know how many people send me that? But I want to tell you, no one that I know sends it with more. You're closer to him than anybody else in my world that I know. You just are because of who you are. So it actually gives me more hope because I'm like, one day Andy's going to be talking to somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and Rick and I are going to be hanging out.
I know. One of these days we've got to try and get you connected to it. Could you imagine, mate? You would lose your mind.
He's timeless.
Yeah.
He's timeless. He's so good.
You know
So-
what?
So now what's funny, anytime I see any type of advertisement for him on social media or TikTok, whether it's concert footage or something, I think of you.
I'm so proud.
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
You know what's crazy, Pete, is like, and I know you are following him, like, but because of a lot of the English stuff I follow, BBC, ITV, stuff like that, he has like rejuvenated himself. He's like Doctor Who. He's like rejuvenated himself.
Where was he this summer? And it blew up. He was one of the headliners.
Glastonbury.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing in Britain.
It is the biggest thing there. And I mean, I will just say this too, like his covers are insane.
Yeah.
And I love his music, but he really, really, really has talent. And I think that's the thing people don't realize. And you got to give the guy credit. He knows He's this, whatever. And he just rolls with it.
Oh, yeah. Rick Roll.
Rick Roll.
Oh.
I mean, Rick Roll.
Rolls. He's like Doctor Who?
Doctor Who. Sorry, that was another English trick. But I mean, he's been doing stuff with the Foo Fighters. I mean, how crazy is that?
I've seen that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
He's
bonkers.
friends with everybody.
We could do the whole episode just about what Rick is now doing.
Yes, he's timeless. I love
And
him.
everyone's like, I thought this was a Christian podcast.
It is.
Hey,
we're trying to spread the news.
Right. God is never going to give you up. He's never going to let us down.
That's right. It is some news, and it's some good news. It's just not the good news.
Yeah,
but that's fine. It's still gospel-ish, right?
Oh, man, this is great. It is great to see
whatever it takes for our 3-peat episode.
3-peat.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Worth it, mate. Well, I reached out to you this week because not just because you're a good friend and we do keep in touch, and you've been to Peoria for Mission Peoria a few years back, and close to our hearts. But you have had this thing burning since I've known you back at Crosspoint Days in Nashville, where you had talked a little bit about this thing. But like, it is now becoming a reality. So what I want to do is, before we get onto that, there are a lot of new listeners that we've got, and obviously you've been on, like I said, the third time, but they may have missed the other two.
Right. Well, listen, 87% of those who listen on Spotify began listening in 2023.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 87% of our Spotify listeners are unfamiliar with your background and with your story.
So can you give us just a bit of background of who Pete Hixson is?
Yep. Well, you've already started it well with Rick Astley's #1 fan, but I will not belabor that any longer for the listeners. So I live in the Atlanta area. It's where my wife is from. We got married, Holly and I, in 1997. And I guess I could start from where I was born, but I won't. But I grew up in Iowa, went to Liberty University, and through a internship I did in Atlanta, that's how I met my wife, Holly. We got married in 97. Was a pastor in many churches in North Carolina, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio. And that took, I know. It's
your third time, and I didn't realize you pastored in that many states. That's cool.
That many states, yes.
Right on.
I know. And a lot of moving, a lot of stories.
A lot of
two
potlucks,
girls, both in college now. Addie is a sophomore at Samford University in Birmingham. And then Hope is finishing her third year, which is crazy saying this on this podcast because we just started the conversation when it was my first time on.
Yeah.
And so she's finishing her third year at an incredible place called Shepherd's College in Union Grove, Wisconsin, not far from Chicago. And so in 2019, when we left the church that we left in Columbus, Ohio, we moved back to Atlanta. It was just kind of home base for us. And long story short, it was just, okay, God, what am I going to do? I knew that my family and what their needs were first and more important than my job. I'd moved them around a lot for me, and not for me, but Yeah. And I just said, hey, they're both in high school. So we ended up back in the North Atlanta area. We live in Woodstock, near Alpharetta, Roswell, Milton, Smyrna, whatever. Those are all areas. But
they're not all areas you lived.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Those are kind of areas. Yeah, I've lived in the kind of Smyrna area, but we live in Woodstock, Georgia now. So not to be confused with the concert, but it is.
It's funny. I have a friend of mine. I just put the two and two together. I have a friend of mine who, when I was on staff at Riverside, he was the youth pastor here, and he is now an associate pastor at a church in Woodstock, Georgia.
No way. That's
crazy.
I
need to find out which church and connect. But his name's Corey Blair, and he crazy small world. You may know.
Wild. We'll have to connect. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So that's where I live, and in a career way, I was and still do some speaking in churches. I've got a couple churches that I speak at regularly. Love doing that. Still feel very called to that. But started doing some work with a company called Story Brand. I'm a private workshop facilitator, contract worker for them. They started a coaching program under their umbrella company now called Business Made Simple. So my my day job is I'm a life and business coach and a workshop facilitator and a speaker. So really a coach and speaker, but growing in ways as we're raising our oldest daughter, Hope, who's at the place I mentioned, Shepherd's College. Throughout the years, as she got older, we're a part of the special needs community. So there's a whole story how that happened with her at birth. We've been, I tell people that we have been raising Hope, but she's been raising us. Yeah. And as you move from one phase of age and season of life in this community to the next, it's always what's next and what do we do? And this quote, age out is coming. And that is, most states, it's the age of 22. And as she was approaching graduating high school, we just felt like we're walking towards this cliff, so to speak, and you could feel the wind, meaning we're close. And what in the world? It's coming, but you're just trying to survive. So anyway, I just started, doing work, and I'm, still piecing kind of a new career. Been doing it now since 2019, but figuring that out, but really just felt like God put this vision in our hearts for a community called Beyond Communities, which we can go into. But that is serving the special needs population, specifically young adults, because there's a lot of things for children, not enough. There's a lot of things in certain service and areas, not enough. Like, but there's very, very few options for the young adult population for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So many wonderful people I've met over the last few years since we've been pursuing this that are coming to the table, trying to solve the problems. It's not a lack of desire and effort, but I think society's waking up. We're getting some support. We're trying to figure out this big crisis of what do they do once they become a young adult. So I can go into more detail for that. Sure. That's Pete. That's who I am. That's what I care about. I already mentioned Rick Astley, but we're there.
And if you have, for those listening, obviously last year we brought in to the Dream Center Carlos Whitaker, who you are very close to. In fact, if you follow Carlos, you will see from time to time his interactions with Hope. You guys surprise her at times.
She loves going to see them.
And so if you follow Carlos, you will know who Hope is just from some of those really powerful connections that you guys have. What a friend you've got there that just opens.
He's such a great storyteller anyway, right? And then, and he's so genuine and just loves everybody. And so Hope loves them, Carlos and Heather and the family, and their kids are friends with our kids. And so when we lived in Nashville for a bit, we got closer to them, even though we knew them before. But it's been great, and more stories to come that he'll help us tell in this journey. So that's been wonderful.
Good. So obviously Hope has gone 3 years now to this college that is really designed for folks with special needs, correct? And
yep, that's right.
And so now the vision that God's placed in your heart is really beyond that then.
Right.
Can you go into this new season that you're in, as far as like you're putting, you're buying dirt, you're buying ground to do this. Tell us about this whole transition for her, especially college now, to something that could be huge for her and others.
Yeah. And I'll just briefly start with this college. Shepherd's College has been a huge part for us. And I have to say this, we would have never known of Shepherd's College had it not been for you guys in this podcast. It was someone who heard this podcast, and I shared on this the first time what we were doing what we were thinking about doing for Beyond Communities for this population. And they reached out and said, we work at this college and I've done some work with them. They still are, I still do some contract work helping the organization as a coach, speaker type deal. But we took Hope, she visited, and it has been a life-changing experience for us.
Oh, that's so cool. What a cool
I
God story.
cannot not say that. We would not have known of Shepherds had it not been for this podcast. So just a huge blessing. And Shepherds is a 3-year program that is designed for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. You go, you learn career-oriented skills, you learn life skills. It's also a Christian school, which she has just grown in her faith by leaps and bounds independently. And you just basically learn all the appropriate independent life skills so that you can go and live a life on your own as much as you can possible, knowing there's always going to be some support level needed. Well, these individuals will graduate, and the next step for them is what Beyond Communities is. So we have really learned a lot from Shepherds and many other organizations, other great post-secondary schools like Shepherds across the country. We're constantly educating ourselves, learning, going to conferences. I'm on the phone with parents and people and professionals all the time, trying to figure out what would a next step look like. I think in this community, a lot of times people think, because I know as a parent, we think, well, I just need to find a place where they're going to live and be happy when I'm gone, because we know we're not going to be here. And what we're discovering is it may not be whatever's next for Hope is the final step for Hope.
Right.
And so what we're trying to create is, could we design a young adult lifespan? So what Beyond Communities is an idea that is formulating into a reality where we will have a place for them to live, and it will have independence to it, but they will live amongst individuals, friends like themselves, but they will live around other neurotypical individuals. One of the balances you really have to strike is, if you place these individuals with people like them only, that's not what's best. And then if you just single them and put them in a world with just people like us and that's not best. So we're trying to create something that hits that, nothing's perfect, but we're trying to just create one option for this. So we have been on this path and journey of what would it look like. And I'm not a professional, I'm just a parent. And we just kind of put it out to God. And that's where we've been the last 3.5 or so years. And the model has shifted and changed. And, where we are today was another incredible God story. I would call this individual my business partner. He's a real estate developer who developed an amazing community. It's a safe walkabout, mixed use. There's restaurants there, that people office there. There's a whole neighborhood behind this development and across the street. You know the idea. These are all over. And he had a patch of grass, and he said, what would you do with this? And so we're building, some of the details may change when we get to architecture and whatnot. Sure. But the idea is we're going to build 6 townhomes. 5 of them will be for our residents, 3 to 4 in each. We're hoping if we can do 4, that allows us to serve more people.
Yeah.
And then one of our townhomes will be for neurotypical individuals that we will very selectively rent to, who are bought into our program. And we will subsidize their rent. When I say neurotypical, it would be an individual that does not have a intellectual or developmental disability.
Right.
And it might be a young professional, like a teacher, a nurse, a police officer, somebody who works somewhere and wants to live. We'll subsidize the rent for some overnight support, that they're just there.
Yeah.
Our townhomes will be that place where our residents will have their own bedroom, own bathroom, that independence, but they'll share some common spaces. And the beauty of it is surrounded in a community where everybody wants to live, because you can walk up the street and go to there's a little grocery store, and there are outside of the development. This is not far away from somewhere. It's right in the middle of town, where There's a Publix, there's a Kroger, there's lots of restaurants and shops and places for them to work. What we're creating is not necessarily for everyone with special needs. That was right at the beginning, a big factor for us of how do we serve a population that is such a wide spectrum?
Yeah.
And I think that's been the tough part for everybody. And through time, counsel, and talking to people and just going with our gut and what we feel like God's put in our life, we designed what we designed for individuals like our daughter and anyone that is similar to her ability category. And there's just no way we can serve and help individuals grow if we say this is for anyone and everyone, but this needs are too great. So our residents will live there. They will work somewhere close. Several of them hopefully will work in the development where this is.
Yeah.
And then we will structure programming of ongoing development, education, helping them grow as a young adult. You know, you and I will listen to podcasts, read books, keep growing, you know, pursue career things. They will, but they just need some guidance. So we're building in an appropriate support model that has some staff. Families are still involved. We're trying to take the weight and dead center from mom and dad caregiver, and they'll always be involved, but they won't be the only one that's carrying this weight, and siblings.
Yeah.
So we will have some overnight support there, but then we'll have some essentially like an advisor. We'll have a couple of them that work full-time for Beyond Communities, that their residents, they might have 7 to 10 each, that they make sure they get to work, you know, they keep in their apartment clean, just that extra support. You know, it's individuals that couldn't live 100% on their own, but maybe somewhere from 60 to 90 and anywhere in between. And we're going to fill in those gaps with support. We'll also partner our residents with a family in the neighborhood that's behind us. That family will be a home away from home. They'll commit to having them over for dinner X amount of times a month, or once a month at least, or helping them with some laundry. They're just another level of support.
Wow.
So we're trying to grow the individual, give them a place to live, and give them a young adult, young professional life where they'll have a job, they'll have a place to live, and then we'll appropriately support them. So a lot of words, but that's Beyond Communities.
That's remarkable. It really is. And it's so cool to hear you talk about it now and going back when Revival Town podcast just started.
Wasn't it
when
our
it was
first?
just a
It was our first episode.
Yeah, yep. You
I
were
think
our
it
very
was.
first episode.
Yeah.
So where you cast the vision, and now to see all the steps that have been taken, and that vision is coming to fruition, and this is becoming a reality. That is really exciting.
Yeah.
Pete, tell me a bit about the location. Obviously, you've got a bit of ground, right? Is he giving you that, or are you having to raise money for that? What? And how could we help?
A couple
with that?
factors in this. We have to raise money. We have to buy it at cost. You know, they're going to do what they can for us. But the reason is this is a neighborhood. This is a development that has uncontrollables to us, and even the partners in it all have some uncontrollables because it's city zoned, it's this, it's that. You have to build whatever anyone and everyone would build there. So the other thing is that we can't and wouldn't, and no one would want to devalue everything else by a cheap cost. So the challenge with our model is we could do what we're doing for a lot cheaper in a place that's further out, so to speak. And I will talk about we're trying to design something that will in the future have different price points, just like you and I will shop in neighborhoods when we're looking based on what we can afford.
Yeah.
To build the prototype, we have to go with what we have, and we know this is the starting point. It will probably be a flagship location for us. And when I say that, I just mean it's like you got to build a model.
Yeah.
You got to have a proof of concept, a prototype, and then we'll go from there. And I'll talk about what our plans are to scale. But this location is in a beautiful place, very desirable. If we have some time, I have to tell you how we found it and how really God showed it to us through my wife. But we are raising funds to buy the land right now because we have been given a $500,000 gift towards construction of the townhomes. And because of some variables, it has to go towards that, which puts a good pressure on us. And I actually found out yesterday an actual timeline of when we need to raise this by, to buy it by. But it puts good pressure on us in a good way to say, all right, we've got to buy the dirt because we're ready to start building once we buy the dirt.
Yeah.
Now, when I say it is an expensive place, because land is expensive. Like there's no more dirt, like that's the idea. So that's a challenge. Some of the listeners may, I've talked to a lot of people that just can push back on that. And I understand it. It's not my choice necessarily to go, and it's not about niceness. But what I tell people is the communities where the real estate is high is where everybody wants to live.
Yeah.
These individuals need to live in a place like this.
Yep.
These safe mixed use developments, like I couldn't build, staff, pay for, and manage the beautiful campus, if you will. I'm just building some units in the midst of it. While they cost a lot, yes, we get that whole development is their home, so to speak. So, and it's just the dynamic of it all that informs our model of why we want to go into these areas. So we're trying to raise the funds to buy the land. We have a good chunk to start construction. We'll raise some more to finish that. But our model is to raise 50% of what it actually cost, the total project. We're trying to raise all of it to buy the actual dirt cost. But the whole project, I'm trying to raise 50% of what it cost. And so I can charge them 50% of what it costs to make it more accessible and more affordable, because it is so high cost. And they aren't going to be individuals that maybe are working, jobs that would be similar to an individual that might be able to afford that, if that makes sense. They're going to be working individuals, but it's expensive to live there. So we're trying to cut that down, and then we charge them our operating cost. But I went with a percentage over a price because we could go to another area of town that has a similar safe mixed-use walkabout community. The real estate's a lot less, and we'll do the same thing, and we'll raise 50%. Now we have a different price point to offer. We're trying to scale that in the future, but we got to get this first one down, raise the money, buy the dirt, build the townhomes, have our individuals there. And then of course there's the design of programming and what does that all mean in the middle of it.
Wow. There's so much to this. So let me ask you something, Pete, then the flagship model that you are going to build, will it be one residential home? How many homes are you talking for this
units?
First model? Yeah.
So this one is currently 6 townhomes. There are 6 separate townhomes, and we're trying to, and some of this is just zoning, some of this is cost, some of this is, another touchy issue in this is, how many individuals is a good quality. You don't want to put too many people in one, and some of it's programming, but we would like to, if we can design them correctly and it fits the complex rules, we would like to put 4 individuals in each townhome. So there would be 6 there. 5 of them currently would be designated for our residents. So we would have 20 individuals living, 4 in each townhome. That 6th townhome would be kind of, like I said, it's owned by us. We have renters, but we select who it is. Maybe again, a young adult. We'll subsidize their rent, and they'll say, I'll give you, 120 days of the year where I know I'm going to be here and I'm just willing to be on call. We're going to have that overnight support,
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the idea.
It's similar to what we're stepping into with Zoe House at Dream Center, which is going to be a home for teen moms, and same type of concept that we've gone with, as in the community that we're at. Yeah, we could have got, and we had neighbors, against us going where we were going, because of zoning and stuff like that. But we want a great community for these girls to be a part of. And that's what I said when we went to zoning. I said to these neighbors, I said, you're the type of neighbors we want.
Right.
And I understand the fear of the unknown, of what's going to happen, what could happen, things like that, which with our research, we are seeing nothing that they're talking about happening at these homes throughout. But it's the same concept that you're mentioning, having that community around them so that they can see a bit of normalcy, and even break some of the chains that they may have grown up with,
Of course.
of what we're doing. And again, it's, we're going to have 5 girls at the house, plus a live-in mom. Same type of concept, mainly for the night. And then we'll have a couple of part-timers that will go during
That's
the
exactly
days.
right. And we might, we've talked about, okay, we have 6, maybe it's 3 in each and 1 individual that like, we don't know what the best thing is, but it's interesting. I think it's also a two-way street. Sometimes we're prone to take we'll just call whoever we're serving the underdog individual, the one the servee. Okay.
Yeah.
And we think that we have to do something for them. We're the ones that are called to make their life better. And while that is true, I think what we overlook unintentionally is they're going to make our lives better.
Yeah.
And that is the other part of this that is unseen, but is absolutely as real as possible. Yeah. When you and I go somewhere in the country or out of country to serve people, who comes back better? Hopefully they are, but we are too. Yeah. We're influenced. Right. And whether it's a single teen mom, yes, there are serving needs, and that has a level of, like you said, unexpected and what ifs. And yet whenever we get involved to serve people, we become so much better. And that's the thing with this community. No one who spends time with these individuals walks away anything but better.
Yeah.
And these individuals living, walking, working in a community, someone told me once, and it's so true, we're the blind leading the blind. They actually help us see what is really matters in life. Yeah. And they help us see God in ways, so that's why I say hope's been raising us. And so communities will be better because these individuals live there. Yes. And we will do our best to support them in a way that is beneficial to all of the community. I get that. But that's why we are involving residents who live nearby, merchants who have shops that will employ them. We want to integrate them into society, not put them far out and then just take care of them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And part of it is their age. And we don't have an age limit, so to speak. We probably will be at either 21 or 22 before you can live there, because we aren't a out of high school option. You will have needed to go to a post-secondary environment, or maybe you're 35 living at home and this is something you need, and you know how to hold down a decent job, So, but we want to give them the dignity of a young adult life, like all of us wanted that,
Yep.
And then, so.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
The communities will be better because those single moms are there. Those teenage moms are there. And, it's just a matter of what are we willing to do to embrace it and to get involved, so.
Yeah, brilliant.
So is Hope familiar with your vision to do this?
Very much so. I got to tell you this story too. Like, she carries around these cards all the time. These are my Beyond Communities, like business card.
Love it.
And every single time we see her, like, Dad, I've run out of cards. She gives them to everybody. We have met so many people, like, even if we're all of us, the family, or if I or Holly are with her on a plane, but she flies by herself because it's not super easy to drive up real fast and pick her up and bring, so a flight's pretty doable, and she will fly home. They have at Shepherd's College individuals that will take them, put them on the plane, and then we pick her up and do all that. Like, I'm constantly meeting people she sits by. She tells everybody about the vision. We're just so walking around when she comes home on a break, and she just tells everybody about Beyond Communities. So she knows about it. She's very excited about it. She's right now, it's an interesting place. Our original plan was, when she's done at Shepherd's, we will have this ready. We will not now have it ready. We're still in process, which is fine. So we're actually looking at another option for a 4th year for her in a place in Birmingham, which is super, super great. We went and visited. It's called the Horizon School. And they have a model where they've got it's very similar, but it's in downtown Birmingham. They have this building where they go to school. It's very, very career focused. And then they bought a section of an apartment complex where all of their students live there, and they like walk a couple blocks. They teach them how to take public transportation.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's even another level of independence. So hopefully that will be even more good training ground for her for 1 year prior to Beyond Communities. But she's very excited. She wants to be on her own. She wants this independence,
Yeah.
That's really, really, really cool.
Well, Pete, before we pray, how can people get involved? You talk about buying the dirt. How much is this dirt? Like
the dirt is 1.3 million. It's a big ticket, and it is.
And that's just the dirt. That's not the buildings.
It's a $6 million project total.
Wow.
Okay.
As it stands today. And I know that sounds insane, and it's a real estate thing. Like, that is a huge part of this, which is another reason why where we ended up and who I've partnered with, who is a real estate developer. I would never be able to do this. Just the people God's put along the way. And he has been a blessing and in more ways than I can tell you. But it is a contextual price because of where it is. It just is.
Yeah.
And so that gives us a great challenge, but it's a challenge I'm at least willing to try. I mean, I'm just going to be honest right here and now. If this thing doesn't go, I would never do anything but try it again anyway, because I really believe in this. I believe in this, and they need to live in these kind of places. And we'll just work hard to raise some funds and help it become accessible as much as possible. But 1.3 to buy the dirt, that's our goal now. Like I said, we already have $500,000 towards construction.
Yeah.
And so based on my desirable model to raise 50%, that would be then 1.8. Then we need another about $1 million to raise. And that location is paid for. And then our residents will be, obviously paying residents. So that's where the other income would come from. So we're trying to raise that. We launched something on Giving Tuesday called the Buy Dirt campaign. And that's what we're in. And that's what we will continue to do to try and raise the funds to buy the dirt. We really believe once we build this prototype, people will see it found. We've talked to so many folks who love it. And some of these foundations are strapped by, we got to see 2 years of operations before we give. It's they've got funds to help us, but I was at a conference and they said 86% of your donors will come from families who have an individual, whether it's a child or grandchild, or they know someone. And so far that's dead on with the finances that have come in with the donors,
Well, you may be listening right now and this has really struck a nerve and you're like, man, I want to get behind Pete and the vision and what's happening. Pete, why don't you tell people how they can connect with you, follow the story, that type of thing?
Yeah, the easiest way is beyondcommunities.org. Beyondcommunities.org. You can donate right there. You'll see a big pop-up that says our Buy Dirt campaign. You can connect there, which will go through it's information where you just fill out and give me your name and your email, and I will see that and I will follow up with you. That's just one place to go, beyondcommunities.org. You can also scroll there. You can open up North Atlanta plans, and you'll see everything that I was talking about. Our mission, you'll see a snapshot of this development. You'll see our plans, what we are calling an appropriate support model. You'll see all of that at beyondcommunities.org. And I want to just say this also, the problem we are solving is one that is absolutely a true crisis in our country. And I don't say that for drama's sake or for guilt's sake at all. It's unintentional.
Yeah.
But about 150,000 individuals like Hope, my daughter, graduate from high school every year, and they have been. and where are they going and what happens? We've got to figure it out. We are not these end all be all, solve all, turnkey, come here and we're going to solve all. We are one option that needs to be one of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of models and options and opportunities for this community. But I'm a dad and love my girl, and that's why we're doing it. So
Well,
got to do it.
Man.
Got to do it. And somebody asked me recently, they said, why don't you just like pay for somebody to live with hope in an apartment? Like what would be wrong with just that? And I said, I can't, because there's too many other people like Hope who need this.
Yeah.
So I can't just do it for her. She's the number one person I care about in this community.
Yeah.
And the reason we're doing it, but there's too many people that need this. So
man. Well, before you pray, Pete, it reminds me of just hearing you talk and seeing how passionate you are about this. And we know that God's the one who placed the vision within your heart. And we know that He's the one that will extend the provision. And it reminded me of something that Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen, said to us on Real Town podcast some time ago when he was overwhelmed and he had experienced his biggest failure ever and bombed with a huge theatrical release. And after raising money for it and was trying to figure out what he was going to do. And he said that somebody approached him and said, it's not my job to feed the 5,000. It was only to provide the loaves and fishes. And of course, the rest is history when it comes to the Chosen. It's the largest crowdfunded media project in history. So we know that you are giving all that you have to offer, and obviously God owns all the cattle on 1,000 hills. So we're going to agree with you as you pray, not just praying for those who are listening, but I want to encourage our listeners to pray for you, Pete, and pray for Beyond Communities and for Hope and for others that are like Hope out there who are going to get the hope that they need and the help that they need. So I just want to say thank you for your vision.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for sharing that example, because I mean, it's every angle, it's every gift. Everyone says this, but you guys know this. You work in this world where you raise money and help people with the funds that come in every angle of what you do. But we have friends who give us $20 a month, and it means the world. We have gifts that come in we've had a few gifts that come in at $50,000, and this promised gift of $500, it's needed. So I can't tell people what to do. This is not one of those, they need 1.3. I only have every single way of giving. You can give one time, you can give recurring every month. It was so special. I don't want to get emotional again, but our when we launched, our youngest, Addie, she's my little unsung hero. Siblings they have a whole world that's overlooked, but she gave when we launched with her money, and she's a college student, she doesn't have any money. And when I saw that, I was like, poof, that's the widow's mite right there. So it does not matter what the amount is, but everything matters and counts. So thank you.
Pete, why don't you lead us in prayer for this community and for what you're doing and for those that are listening?
I will. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for your love for us. Thank you that we love you because you first loved us. We serve because you first served us. We see the need because you open our eyes when we allow you to open our eyes and see what's in front of us. There are people listening that have other needs in their lives, and I just pray that you would meet those needs. I pray for them. I pray for people that might be listening to this that are just looking for mission. They're looking for purpose and meaning. And we really cannot find that apart from opening our hearts and our hands to the creator of us and letting you re-engineer our eyes and our focus. So I just pray for mission and purpose for everyone, Lord. You've given this in our hearts because of what you've placed in our lives, because of what we have experienced in the special needs community. And I just pray that you would meet those needs
For beyond communities, I also pray for families, parents, siblings, individuals who are a part of this IDD, intellectual and
Developmental disability community, God. So many needs, such a wide variety of needs. We know that you care. We pray that you will help us to take whatever that next step is. And I ask, God, that you would bless, as I have many times, and thank you for Chuck and for Andy and for this podcast and what it has done for our lives. I pray that you would meet the needs and that you would give us all whatever that action is. That's that next step. We love you. Thank you. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Pete, you've been on this podcast 3 times. You know, we always go for the big 3 questions with the 3 Pete. Hey, see how I'm doing that, Chuck?
Yeah. Oh, you want to kick us off this time? Maybe?
Yeah, I got. Okay, you've lived in many places.
Yeah.
What was your favorite one?
Ooh. I mean, I just have to say we love. Oh, it's so tough. We ended up back in Atlanta area for a reason. So I would say we love the sum total variable. Nashville's such a great place to live.
Yeah.
Though too. So it's so hard. But so many great people. But we like Atlanta.
All right.
Atlanta area.
All right. My question is a unique question because it's not just about you. What is Hope's favorite meal or one of them?
Ooh, pasta, spaghetti, no question.
Okay.
She and her grandmother, me mom, is the 2 of them. That's their favorite meal together, no question. She likes steak as well. She loves a good steak.
Awesome.
Good eater.
My last question is really an observation. I think you are probably one of the craziest Steelers fans.
Oh, why
After
did you
last
bring that
night, why are you doing this to
Oh,
us?
did they lose last night?
No, bring it on. Bring it on. I'm ready. I'm not ready, but I've got to face the
4th
music.
and 2. What are you
when
doing
this
throwing it deep?
When
Sorry.
this gets aired, it's who knows what has happened to the Steelers, but 2 weeks in a row losing to teams at home. Good teams, though. Anyway, I can't go into it. Thank you. Anyway, Andy.
I just wanted to bring it up. That's all. There's no question to it.
So painful right now, but I am a diehard forever and ever. I'm still all in, but I was watching the game last night, and I really did have to kind of confess that, God, I'm sorry, this is a bit of an idol because I shouldn't feel this much. I don't know if Coach Tomlin went to bed as upset as I was last night, but I'm sure he didn't. He's my favorite coach in the world. He's the best. Anyway, it's painful right now, but maybe by January, whenever, when this happens, hey, hopefully it's another story. We'll see.
Yes. There's still a little time left. We'll see.
Well, Pete,
things have to fall our way now.
Pete, it's been great having you on, and
it's been great. Thank you, guys.
We can't end the podcast without a bit more Rick. You know what I mean?
That's a better subject than the Steelers today.
Yeah. But we gotta bring it up because, like we said earlier, I think Rick is close to Jesus. I think it's pretty close in your life. I'm on about.
He is never gonna give you up, let you down. The whole deal. Like, I'm pretty sure he was reading the Bible when he wrote this.
Oh man,
that's my story. That's my narrative.
Oh, that's good. Well, hey, mate.
In a perfect world, Steelers in the Super Bowl with Rick Astley as the halftime entertainment.
Oh my! I feel like that State Farm commercial and the football players, and they're like,
and then Jesus would come back right after the game. Right.
Like, oh my God. Rick Astley at the Super. If I don't know, I would sell my house to be there. I probably would sell my house.
You probably would have to.
I would have to.
Did you ever end up going to England and watching him?
No, because Holly got me that as a surprise. I can't remember when that was, but that was right before. It was the Christmas before COVID that she gave me the gift, and then it got canceled. So we whatever for the next year, and then it was still kind of a thing, and so it canceled again, and then they canceled it. So we've never rescheduled it, but it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
It's gotta happen.
He is like on tour all the time now because
I
of
know.
this resurgence.
He hasn't been back to the States in a while, which is why I'm so glad we went. And we lived in Columbus, Ohio. He came to Pittsburgh. That's the only time I've ever seen him in person.
And you met
gave
him.
Oh yeah. And this is I'll have to send you a picture. We have family photos. We have this block, like 6, 3 here, 3 there. And it's like Holly and the girls and me and Holly and then our whole family and the dog. There's a picture of me and Holly and Rick Astley in the midst of 6 of how many. It's a true story. It is in like a main part of our house. So when I met him, I was like, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got to hug. Gave me the whole deal. It was great.
Well, when you go to England to see him in concert there, because you've been on the show so many times, you're practically a co-host. We will need to do a Revival Town podcast on location at the Rick Astley concert with Pete Hixson.
That's it. That's what we got.
100%.
Oh man,
we'll do it, and we'll get Carlos to come too, and he'll help tell all the stories and the whole deal. It'll be beautiful.
Brilliant.
So.
Well, mate, thank you so much for coming on again. We do appreciate it, and we love you. And praying that this all goes well, that you get the dirt so then you can start building.
Yes.
So
thank you. I love you guys. Thank you for having me.
Speak soon.
Man, that was just a feel-good episode.
Oh, it's so good to always connect with Pete.
Yeah, he's good people.
Yeah, he is. He's good friend. Good friend. You could always reach out.
You can tell listening to him that he is the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is.
Thank you, Pete.
He is. Well, we have got something that I know we do Tate and his mate. Are you ready? Tate and his
ready.
Mate?
Yeah.
Here we go. Tate and his mate. This actually is a Tate and his mate, but this is I'm going to give you the new word for 2023, the word of the year in the Oxford Dictionary. So they have put this word in the Oxford Dictionary, which would be like the Webster's Dictionary.
Now
right?
it is 2024 now.
I know, but we're looking back.
We're good. Okay.
Okay, we're looking back. Okay.
We're looking back before we look ahead. Off ramp before we ramp up. Okay.
So, are you ready for this? Are you?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. So, I lost my screen. Hold on a minute. Here we go. Okay. The word. Do you want me to put it into context?
Yes, please.
Pete Hixson, right?
Yep.
Has Riz.
Has what?
Riz. R-I-Z-Z.
Has Riz. Wait a minute. Riz. This is actually all over social media. I've seen some things about Riz.
Because it's the word of the year from 2023.
Okay, so it's now in the Oxford Dictionary.
Yeah.
But this is a kind of a slang word that is popular with students.
Yes.
Because I've been hanging out with teenagers and went to youth convention a couple of weeks ago, and I heard some. Pete Stewart.
Pete Stewart.
Pete Stewart is an old Christian grunge artist from back in the day. And he don't got Riz. He's got fizz. Yeah, he went sideways. Pete Hixson has Riz. I'm going to say, you got class. Real class. No, I'm going to say he's got cool factor.
But that's not what it means. It's not. Yeah.
So you're saying that Pete's not cool?
No, it's cool. Cool. Okay. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for getting me in trouble.
So Riz got Riz. Is he trendy? Is it trendy?
Well, he is, but it's not this word. Okay. Do I need to for the first one of the year?
I'm going to be 0 for 1.
0 for 1.
Riz, he's got
charisma. Riz is charisma.
Oh yeah, Riz, man, you got Riz.
You got Riz.
Cool
Charisma.
I'm gonna say charisma.
What? Oh my. All right.
Oh, all
Well,
right.
there
Yeah,
we
that's
go.
right. That's right. Okay.
The first one of 2024 is in
Boom.
the can.
Hey, I think this first episode had Riz.
Oh, it's Riz all over it.
Come on, it's Rizalicious for Shizzle Rizzle. Come on.
By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's way better than just listening to it.
Oh man.
Oh, that's
We're
good.
gonna go get some lunch for Riz.
Ooh, come on, a bit of Chinese. There we go. Well, thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you are checking us out on social media, letting people know about us, and get some merch.
Right.
Huh?
From
Come
the
on.
merch store, revivaltownpodcast.com.
All right, we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Revival Town Podcast. Make sure you're following us on social media and remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, head on over to revivaltownpodcast.com.